Ukraine.
Russia or the United States?
Well, I say the U.S. because the U.S. sweet-talked Ukraine into disaster. What I've recently written is that we told Ukrainian leaders lots of fairy tales about how they were going to join NATO and live happily ever after. And it was a great illusion that we sold to Ukraine, not for Ukraine's sake, by the way, but for the sake of U.S. aggressive foreign policy, what we call neoconservatism. The idea, the plan from the 1990s onward was that the U.S. would assert its unipolar, dominant, hegemonic primacy position in the world, and it would do so in part by extending the U.S. military to all regions of the world, including surrounding Russia, including possibly breaking up Russia. And Ukraine was a major part of that strategy, which dates back, incidentally, to 1992, to ideas of Richard Cheney, who in 1992 was the defense secretary, and of course, who in 2001 became vice president of the United States. Another part of this neoconservative plan was to overthrow governments that the United States did not like. And that included the wars of choice in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya, and a coup that the United States actively participated in Ukraine in 2014. So we sold a fairy tale to Ukraine. The Ukrainian leaders bought it. I have to say, I've been telling them all along, though they didn't like to hear it from me, that's for sure, that we were on a path to make Ukraine the Afghanistan of Europe, as I frequently called it. By that, I meant a country devastated by a U.S.-provoked war of
I'm always over on that side. I don't know why. Take this out. Here they are. Good morning, good afternoon. I don't think Ham's going to join, so I doubt I'll have a very large audience, but we can talk about anything on your mind. Let me just look at some of the stock prices. Finger is down to 221, down 34 cents. Not for nothing. I did a live very kindly. Martin Shen did a live with me, an interview with me yesterday. Kristen Shaughnessy is going to chop it, so it's just, there'll be a version of it that's just when Martin's speaking, because I started early to make sure it worked, and then I stayed and answered some questions. That sort of made it longer than just what Martin said. While I'm talking about Kristen, remember Busy Brands and Kristen and Junk Savvy have a huge space called, I believe it's 6 p.m., but it might be 5 p.m. Just go to Busy Brands Twitter space, Busy Brands, and he's going to have a lot of veterans from various walks of life, including Congress and surprise guests, I guess. But the one that he announced is General Flynn. So I think that's going to be a very important call, and I'll keep today's call relatively short so that your attention span is available for his. and Kristen's and Junk Savvy's call. It's terrific. It's veterans, you know. I just think that's a very powerful, amazing effort by everybody. Veterans of MMTLP. Logic's down today on the bid. The ask is also down, 41,000 shares. Both Logic at 0.0299 and Finger at what's the ask? 220. To me, those are positions if you have cash. Theoretically, I can't give financial advice, and I'm not. But these are opportunities to add to positions. In the case of Logic, we're getting to the end. We're in July, but we're probably getting to the end of our waiting period on hearing about the other two companies that they announced. The one company they announced that's binding, it's worth 6 cents a share. The risk is if they listen to the advisors at Aubrey Advisors, they'll do the deal at the manipulated low price from Aubrey Advisors, really piss poor job of a de-SPAC. Whether it was intentional or not, I'll leave it to others. I'm tired of getting upset about these things. But it's clear, it is clear to me after 2 or 3 years that they have everything under control. And the only thing that's going to cause what you're looking for, if you still are, and I recommend that you do not look for it, short squeezes. I think they come out of the blue. Otherwise, the system has paid off Gary Gensler. They've paid off. Oh, hang on.
Hold from Andy.
Hello? Hello? I just went live if you want to talk to people, but if you don't, it's okay too. I've told them. Hang on. I told them you're not feeling well.
No problem.
All right. You're live.
All right, everybody. So I got this terrible cough, cold. I don't know what it is, and I'm waiting to go to the doctor's office. But I just spoke to my friend, it's an institutional guy. He said that easy 200,000 plus is fake wash trades. Once again, these guys are just crossing trades to increase the volume. My friend just said it just shot up from 300 to 400,000. If you go to freerealtime.com, you can actually see it yourself. You know, these fake trades. It's just ridiculous. And, you know, I know people buying it, but again, the fake trades, we can't stop this stuff. You know, no one can stop it. Let me just go back on a different note. I've been out of it for a couple of days, but I saw Williams' video with the CEO, and they actually had a down quarter based on the Chinese government, whatever it was. But the CEO presented, which I believe is, you know, amazing, that they have a major deal, which we all kind of know is coming. I don't know what it is, but it's a major deal. And they said they needed a few dollars. So I assume that they're not doing anything with equity because they told us they weren't going to do it. So I don't know. And I think that once they announce the whatever they're doing and this deal gets out there, everybody would be fine. And I looked at it, just look at it this way. And I was thinking about it, and I posted it this morning before I signed off again. During COVID, some companies were destroyed. And two of the companies that I followed at the time were the cruise ships. They were destroying Carnival and the other one, Royal Caribbean. I mean, just devastating. As though they were going to be out of business. I mean, pushing them down to real lows. I think Royal Caribbean was down to 30 or 20 bucks on, you know, during the height of that thing when they were shut down. And now it's $170. So companies do have a downtime and they do recover. Right? Doesn't mean that they're bad. These shorts in these stocks are criminals. They need to push these stocks down, and they want people to sell it. I told you, a real short would, if they felt this company was not going to make it, they would let it go higher. Sell the shares, get more dollars for it, but they cannot. The clock is running out on these guys, and I do believe Donald Trump is going to be the president. I do believe Patrick Byrne, Devin Nunes are going to, thank these guys. Devin Nunes was on Maria Bartiromo yesterday, and I watched it Sunday morning, waiting for him to say something. But he talks about being on all these committees and investigating, whether it's, the FBI and this. His mission now is to force the settlement to DJT, which is going to help all of us. All right? And that's why I think these guys are attacking as much as they are. I saw them filed, someone posted a lawsuit against GameStop. Roaring kitty by a guy who owned, 10 shares or some nonsense. They're using every angle to try to get people to sell those names. Again, GameStop, I believe the company had to deal with the shorts because Ryan Cohen was forced to do it. And I think that was the downfall of the short squeeze there. Someone posted on Twitter to me saying that the short squeeze is over. And I wrote back to him, do you understand what a short squeeze is? Obviously, he has no clue. All right? Companies have a business. They need time to grow. I'm following a company that I started following that had zero, had a top-up business, nothing. The company in these 5 years has got relationships with everyone. It's all on the tape. You can read it yourself. I'm not making it up. They have more relationships going forward. They're building out products for data. I saw a commercial for Pacific Life Re. They were the first one to actually sign a deal with them. He's a multi-billion-dollar corporation that would never sign a deal with a company that's going out of business. These companies are signing deals not based on the price of the company, based on what they can do with each other to make money. The CEO says they're working on algorithms so that they can sell it to the reinsurers. He spoke about it on your call, William.
Yeah, you did.
About how he talked about how they want to know how fast you go, what you eat, what you do, everything. This is something they're developing that's going to be good for the next 20 years, not for the next 2 hours. The short sellers have no vision and use it against you. They tell you that the company's no good, there's no short squeeze, there's no that. A short squeeze meaning somebody sold shares, which we documented, which I believe is 230 million shares. All right? I've never seen them buy it back yet. No one's ever seen them buy it back. If you watch the stock every day, no one's bought it back. That means the short squeeze is alive and well. The U.S. government allows this to happen. We're fighting the U.S. government, the crooked brokers, and the crooked shorts, trying to make this happen for everyone. And I do believe this will be a life-changing situation when it does. The difference between a finger motion and a GTII is GTI has no business. They're waiting for management to get booted out so the company so people can get a company in here that can have a business. Finger motion is the complete opposite of that. And I'm trying to show you the differences. Finger motion has a real business. Finger motion has growth opportunities. Finger motion has revenue. Very different. CEO is telling you in a video what they're doing. In GTI, we have no idea what the company's doing. That's why Richard Hoffman is leading the charge with big investors, trying to put a business in there so we can see a future and add value to the company. The SEC wants companies that have value, right? They don't want GameStops, companies that have no value, going up to $500. So Finger Motion doesn't fit that bill. Finger Motion has value, but yet everything they do, they attack. And what they do is they cross stock from one account to the other to buy more settlement time, to create volume. I told you, they create volume to give the illusion that people are selling it. Take away the 200,000 shares. I mean, somebody could have sold some today. People always bail out. I can't stop that. For whatever reason it is, to protect your family, I got it. But there's no way 400,000 shares were sold by anybody. These were all fake. You saw it last week. You saw the 70,000. 78,000 traded 4 o'clock on Friday. I'm sure that 78,000 is again flipped again into this mess of 400,000 today. They're selling the same stock back and forth and creating volume. That's all they're doing. All right. And that's what I see. I've been doing this for 24 years. I'm not guessing. I know what a short squeeze is. Anyone that posts that to me is basically a moron. A short squeeze is when the companies, when they buy back the stock. If I believe it's 230 million and I'm a moron and it's 100 million, I haven't seen 100 million bought back. I haven't seen 30 million bought back. I haven't seen 20 million being bought back. And if there wasn't a problem here, every day that we put a truck in front of the SEC that called out the short GTII and finger motion, the SEC would have came down and wrecked us all and locked us all up. But they know GTI had the problem because they put it in the filing with the PTC, the NSCC, that there was a illegal concentrated short position there. In finger motion, we posted the truck. We put it in front of the FBI, the Southern District, the CI, wherever, everywhere we put it. The Washington Post, I can't remember every place, CNBC. We put it everywhere, in front of the SEC, the enforcement hearing, everywhere. And they never said boo. And by not saying anything, the silence tells you that we know that these guys are in trouble. No one said anything about it. And that's my proof. So I would be, if I was the short seller, I'd be posting, pretending I'm along, giving up on the stock. Oh, it's not for you. You got to get out of it. The company's full of shit. I would do it too. Get you to sell. That's the game. Get you to sell. I could be a basher, calling it a scam, calling it this. The company even addressed it yesterday. Goes, we're not a pump and dump. We're working too hard. The CEO said that in his words. Am I correct? Stuff like that.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
Because we're not a pump and dump. We work too hard. He said, we work too hard trying to build a company. He said building a company will add value. And that's what he's doing. I'm personally, I got to fight the shorts. I don't believe in building the companies of value, but you have to because the SEC requires you to do something. You get more respect when you do that stuff. I'm not looking for respect. I'm looking for stock settlements, which doesn't exist. That's how I feel. There is no such thing as stock settlement. It's a disgrace that they can rob everyone here, my family, my kids, my uncles, everybody. I have to answer to all them and tell them that it's going to come. And I believe it's going to come. These attacks tell me they're so desperate to mark it down at all costs. And it doesn't make a difference where it starts. GameStop started at 3 3/4. AMC started at $1.75. KOSS started at $2, went to $125. You pick it out, whether it's Peloton or Beyond Meat. They start when they start. I've always said that. Companies trying to do things that can ignite this stuff and make it happen. Okay? I have no idea what the SEC is doing with the company on the dividend. The CEO didn't say anything about that yesterday, did he, William?
No, I don't know.
I was sleeping during the interview. I'm sorry. I woke up. I found out later on that you were doing
Most
it.
of my audience was too.
But anyway, I didn't have that. When I saw it later on, I said, I should have asked that question.
Well, what's the
don't
question you
know
wanted to ask? That somebody said, I
Is there
forgot.
any update? Is there any update on the dividend? The SEC?
No,
What normally happens is
he said that there were some, I'm paraphrasing. He said there were some questions, nothing trouble, nothing major, but there were some questions. And he pointed out, and I suggested too, but he pointed out that the financials just got finished. Everything's on track. You know, we should be hearing soon.
all right. Well, listen. That's what I was always told. They come with questions, you answer them, and they have no choice but to approve it. So it's coming.
Yeah.
Again, if you look at it, if the SEC wasn't concerned about short squeezes, why did they attack John Berger? Right? He did a dividend and it turned into some nightmare for everybody. And he was just doing something to protect his company and his investment. And the SEC attacked him over it. And from that dividend, it turned into MFTLT, which is the biggest mess in creation because they stopped trading it now, and now they know the information and it's got to come out. I don't know when it's going to come out, but when it does, it's going to change the world. So I'm not here to wait for the information to come out. I'm not going away. I will continue to follow Finger Motion. I continue to follow GTII, Richard Hoffman, when something happens there at the on the legal aspect, and I will continue to expose naked shorts. That's what I do. I give you some ideas on how to flip and trade stocks. You can do. I may have to go back and do that myself to make a living while I wait to do this stuff. I think I'm trying to drag William into doing it. I have a couple people that can give us some money, William, I'm talking to, and we can sit here and sort of trade every day. It's just trading DJT and GameStop last week. We could have made ourselves a quick 100.
I'll throw in $100. I'll throw in $100.
Nah, but my friend will give me access to $10 million, and we can leverage it up on, DJT. We could have bought ourselves, 50,000 shares. Watch it run 3 points, make 150,000, and we get 40% of the 150,000. We do that 2 days, and just move along, and then we can sit here easily and wait this out. Right now, we're doing the same thing you're doing. We're not earning money, and we're fighting this battle. Okay. We're doing whatever we can 24/7. As you can see, my voice is appearing.
Don't
Eat
overextend.
another cough.
Don't overextend
I can't
yourself.
possibly eat another cough drop or drink any more cough syrup or Mucinex or whatever the hell I'm taking. I'm waiting to get it.
Go get a steam with all that
I gotta
vapor
wait.
rub.
If I go in a steam room with people, they'll kill me because I sound like I have. It sounds like I got the plague when I start coughing. But it's I don't have any nasal congestion or anything. I just have I just have a terrible deep cough, and it just keeps you up all night. It's just a headache, gives me a headache, and that's about it. But I'm waiting to get in. My wife's in the doctor's office. I told her I wanted to call you up, so I came outside. So
Tell her I apologize.
No, I blame you for everything, William. Sorry. People blame me for the stocks going down, which I have nothing to do with. And for those creeps who want to blame me, I'll be the first guy to go with you to the SEC, the FBI, the DOJ, whoever the fuck you want to go to. Any of these big mouths that are posting, all right, or pretending to be along and trying to piss on people that are getting robbed. Let's go follow the sell tickets. I know they're not coming from me. That's a fact. So let's go. Anytime someone's got a big mouth that wants to do it, I don't give a fuck if you're a real long. You want to go? I'll go with you. We had the balls to put a truck in front of calling the police out. For years, we've been calling them out. You know what this is about. We're here to squeeze a short. We know the short is here. If the government settled the trades, you would get your wishes in a second. I can't make that happen. We're doing everything in our power to make that happen so that we can all make a lot of money and move on. I hope along the way, you learned a little bit about the equity markets and how fucked up it really is and how crooked it really is and how the hedge funds are just stealing everybody's money, laughing all the way to the bank and pissing on everybody and don't care anything about it. They're hoodlums. They should be hung as looters, like they said in India. If you steal from the investors, you're going to be hung. Vietnam, they're killing people, the death penalty. South Korea, life in jail. That's how serious this stuff is. And the U.S. is walking around like it's a joke. Everybody knows. The whole world knows. China, everybody knows. The U.S. equity market's a crime. So if you want to fight, the reward is just what I told you. Your life-changing events. And the difference between GTII and a Finger Motion and the GameStop has no business now. They're going to do everything in the world trying to knock that down, whether they go lock up Roaring Kitty or when GameStop spends money. They already have Webb Bush out there, another bunch of scumbags telling you the stock is worth 11, all this stuff. That CEO, if he had any pair of balls, he started investing in small companies that have big shorts in it and change the world. That's what he should do. Don't do anything else and use the rest of the money and buy Apple Computer, which, by the way, has been going straight up. So that theory works perfect instead of building a business. But again, this is real criminal activity. And you know what? I've been on the forefront of it for 24 years. I don't back down. The SEC knows who I am. The FBI knows who I am. The DOJ, they all know. Secret Service, they all know. All right. So, you know, it's not like I'm hiding in the shadow. All right. They all know we went there. They know William. William's been standing in front of the SEC building with his videos for years now, calling them out. If it wasn't a problem, they would call William in and say, William, there is no problem. Here's the proof. But they won't, because they know we are right. We just don't have the money to legally sue. Wes Christian said he needs $10 million, I think he said, for a lawsuit, right? Is that what the number he said? William, I can't remember.
It was a big number.
I mean, we don't have the money to do that. So we have to do it with tricks and expose them. We're trying to use
I think
the
it might have
system
even been
that we know.
13 million, my memory. Anyway, it's a big
I can't
number.
remember, but we're trying to use the system that is designed to force stock settlement and expose it.
There is no
And that is the
system.
use of a dividend.
Oh, yeah.
If the brokerage firms want to commit more fraud, the SEC allow it to go on, it only makes our case stronger. And what's going to save our ass is that you got the most powerful man in the world who wants that GameStop money. It's free money, and he knows it. And if Donald Trump is a businessman like we know he is, he's going to force that issue to you. Devin Nunes is already telling you he's doing it. So we know it's coming. I wish it could be tomorrow. I thought the hearings were going to be 2 weeks ago. You know, I had no idea that the company, that the Finger Motion was going to have a light quarter. I had no idea they're going to report it on Friday. People are yelling at me, how do you have a comment on it? I said, I'm fucking sick. What do you want me to tell? Read it later. What do you want me to do? I had no idea. I fight one battle, and that my battle is with the stock settlement system of the SEC for being a disgrace. Listen, at least have the balls to tell everybody, hey man, you invest in the stock market, you're going to get ripped off because we can't police it. They say that. Don't come out here and tell us and put it on Twitter. Oh, we're doing everything we can. It's the best market in the world. It's full of shit. It's completely full of shit. And everyone on this phone needs to tell their friends, be careful. If you do have a stock that's up a lot of money, sell half of it. Protect your revenue, protect your income. Be careful. You're better off investing in Korea. This is the Wild West, and if you think they don't come for you, I can show you many good companies that had a bad quarter, and they destroy them. Destroy them. Except if you're Boeing, when the planes fall out of the sky, no one seems to care about that. So, but again, it's a crazy game. It's not for everyone. You have to be on top of your toes. All right. And you know what? I'm here to the end. I'm not going away. Finger Motion, I believe, is doing the right things. I listened to the CEO. The CEO watched the videos. He's telling you what they're doing. They have a major deal that they can't announce yet, but they will. He's not hurting us. He's not doing anything to hurt us. The shorts are doing it. And the shareholder came up with a great idea. If they're not doing anything to raise capital, cancel the, what is that, S3? Is that what it's called? I forgot that, William.
The shelf registration, I think, is an S1. I can look it up.
S1 or
maybe it's an S3, but it's a shelf registration. If you really want to know, I can look it up.
No, I don't care. I'm just saying that the shareholder told me to cancel the shelf registration. I thought it was an S3.
Yeah, I guess it is.
The shorts are playing against that. The shorts are playing against that. He said, cancel it. And show that you're not doing anything. So let's see if they do it. That's been relayed from people that I know that emailed the company, the IR guy, and said, hey, if you're not using it, cancel it. You know what? It's unfortunate that you have to go through the motions, hire a law firm, put something in place in case your stock goes. And here's the shorts shorting against it. They're not borrowing the shares. They're just shorting against it. And these wash trades that you're seeing, I believe they're covering that real short that's been going down. They keep that real short is someone that's onshore, that's tied to the short, the naked short, and they're putting profits into that account, yet defrauding their own prime broker. The naked short is defrauding their prime broker. Anyway, William, my wife is waving to me. What time is it? I don't even know what time it is.
It's 1:32.
All right, and the stock is, where is it now? And what's
The
the
stock, I gotta just switch to that page. The
Uh-huh.
stock is 210. The
And-
low on the day,
and the volume is what?
203, 512.5. 210
Yeah,
by
so it went up another
211.
120. All right, 210 by 211. They're just trying to force it down to get people to bail. Unfortunately, I don't have a mutual fund of my own funds to keep buying, but you get rewarded when you can average down if you can. If you can't, if you don't believe it. then
They
you have
never
to
run
sell it.
out
I
of
can't
stock
stop
to
it.
sell. They never run out of it. So
I posted that every day. There's a seller walking it down every day, pushing it lower. As soon as they hit the bid, they sell it again. They keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, listen, I got to run into the doctors. I'll speak to you
all
later.
right, thank you. Everyone appreciates it. Good luck.
All right, bye-bye.
Call ended.
All right, that was the hamster on Finger. I forget what I was saying, so let's just see if you're asking anything. I'll go to the bottom. I always overpay, Donna. I think it's a great price to pay. And I think 225 would have been my target, but somebody said $2 yesterday. And it looks like it tagged $2, almost did. But anyway, but you won't remember that you overpaid. Yeah, I always overpay. It's all fake anyway. If I had money, I'd buy it at 209. MMTLP. What do you want to know about MMTLP? There's no, there's busy brands with Junk Savvy and Kristen Shaughnessy today are going to be working on just a incredible space call with General Flynn and other veterans to talk about veterans who have been hurt by MMTLP. So that, I think one of the things you could do is go join the space call. I think it's at 6, but it might be at 5. Just check Busy Brands, Junk Savvy, Kristen Shaughnessy. Check their Twitter page and be there. Wow. They short ETFs which have Finger in them. I didn't know any ETFs had it in it. That's pretty impressive. And they buy the longs for others in a basket. Then they have 15 years. Why is 15 years magical? They just have forever. The thing I heard, can I put you on?
Dr. Aziz.
Let me put you on hold once. Sorry about that. I thought that might be some news. It wasn't. It was not news. anyway, on Finger, the thing I picked up on the one yesterday was the sense of confidence from possibly a nice record contract. It's his last chance to get his daughter in a fine romance because the record company, Rosie, just gave me a big contract. Anyway, that's what I was kind of focused on. And if you want to really paint a rosy colored scenario, maybe the reason they filed earnings early is to get ready to do some sort of financing to get that deal announced. On the other hand, probably the reason they announced earnings early is, as the release said, they still had some difficulties to work through. Trump is immune from what? Apparently not from COVID. I think Trump, it's interesting when you read the headlines, when you read the left headlines, it emphasizes he's not immune. You read the right wing, the so-called right wing, says he is. I think it's going to boil down to a definition of official duties. And I tell you, the Democrats have opened up a massive can of worms. This will go on and on and on until the republic is destroyed. Do we have clocks if time can stand still? That's a non sequitur. You can have clocks even if time can stand still. Clocks just measure time. If time stands still, the clock will stand still. Presidents are immune, according to the Supreme Court, in official duties. So the question comes, was his peaceful speech on the Rose Garden, when he was on the Rose Garden anyway, was that an official duty? And, I wonder, when you have Nancy Pelosi taking responsibility for it's on tape. She takes responsibility for not having the National Guard there. And I don't even want to get into the fact Millennial Millie tracked down this Antifa guy who changed uniforms and escaped. And a lot of the damage and the onslaught was from Antifa. So I have to change my approach because it's so depressing. You have to accept that the government is being run by much bigger powers than democracy. If you think the Democratic Party has operated in a democracy for the last 3 or 4 elections, I don't think you're following the same news that I do. If you believe the media is not married to a political party and married to the banks and married to the war machine, so that the government, the military industrial complex, many of the large industries and the media, and the Democratic Party, that's called, you know what it's called? It's called fascism. And in another extreme case, it was called Nazism, which all started on the left. And it's scary. But you know what? It's not worth getting upset about. It's the way it is. Half of people vote because Joe Biden is elegant. There's a young woman on YouTube, 27 years old. She's a American basketball player. And she lives in London right now. Just Pearly Things. I've listened to her. She's got a unique point of view. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it gets me thinking. And I'll just leave it at that. If you want to listen to her, you can listen to her. I don't want to lose my audience by upsetting people, but there's a lot of pandering that goes on, and I don't know. I hope that our republic can last, because it's the first created that we know about that put human rights, individual rights first and before God. If we lose it, I don't know. I don't know what you fall back on. But the money is concentrated. It's very powerful. BlackRock runs everything, but BlackRock's not the only concentration of money, but it's one of the biggest. And unfortunately, that's the world we're in. But you and I, we have to try to do things which can separate us from the herd. While I was listening to him, I read this quote, "Men, it has been well said, think in herds. It will be seen that they go mad in herds, while they only recover their senses slowly and one by one," unquote. Charles Mackay, The Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds, 1841, a book which I read. I don't have it here, but I read it a long time ago. But that's what we're going through, and that's what I hope you and I can fight against, being part of the extraordinary popular delusions and the madness of crowds. Oh, you're not going to like what I have to say, Mr. Harry. Not going to like what I have to say, Mr. Harry. Who was that? Oh, I know. Ah, go ahead. Make my day. Ah, here it is.
Come from?
When a mommy and daddy love each other?
That's why.
Lois, I want my own checkbook and I want it now. Ooh, I like when Dad talks tough. He sounds like Dirty Harry.
You gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Oh, Mr. Harry, you're really not going to like what I have to say.
Oh, Mr. Harry, you're really not going to like what I have to say. I'm getting nervous. Maybe I've postponed my eye surgery too far. Hey, KYP. But I'm having a hard time reading things. Oh, that's a handsome wolf. Hi, silly. Number one, Eddie Eagle, Stony Bones. Hey, Darren. Yeah. Eh? Happy Canada Day. Eh? July 1. Hey, Zizu. Hey, KYP. Donna. Frank. Light those fireworks. Henderson, Las Vegas. Wow. I've never been there, but that used to be the headquarters of this little gold company that some people put money up in. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Heath. Not Ham. Well, Ham's got good things to say. Thank you, Brian. Kristen Shaughnessy is going to chop it so that, but I don't know how to do it. And she couldn't do it today because she's getting ready for the call tonight. But she's going to chop it so that it starts when Martin starts and ends when Martin ends. So it'll be a more digestible live. She'll do that sometime tomorrow. Yeah, it's a long video if that's what you mean. That's good, Donna. I'm sorry the price kept going, but that was a bit predictable. They would do their best. Trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. I don't know what to say to that. Hey, AC. Yeah, Wimbledon is great. No upsets today. None. Although Alcaraz looked like he was a bit rusty. Yeah, it's going to be a good run. I think Alcaraz got the easiest draw, other than the fact that he'll obviously have to play center. But it's easy for him, unless I misread it. I think Djokovic, everyone thinks he got an easy draw. I'm not so sure. This guy Rune is powerful. And there's one other guy on his side. It's either Hurkacz or Humbert. I can't remember. They're also pretty tough, but hopefully he can get through. Thank you as well. I can't believe that, Vin. You're absolutely right. They're going to sell. They're going to assume that the company's going to do an equity offering, which to my memory, the company said they're not going to do in a press release, but they're going to, Travis, they only have one strategy, and Ann Wagner allows it. Gary Gensler allows it. Adina Friedman allows it. Robert Cook allows it. Chuck E. Cheese allows it. Your broker-dealer does not ask for receipt of shares. It is a crime out in the open, committed on a massive scale, and it's more wicked. Well, I don't know if it's more wicked than harvesting coral reefs all in one scoop, or slaughtering the buffalo almost to extinction, shooting the last dodo bird. But it's on that scale. And they're not going to do anything about it. They're just simply not going to do anything about it. Goldman Sachs owns the government, owns the political parties, owns the regulators. This is an intentional theft of wealth, and it's just not going to stop. The only thing that Finger has going for it is, and people don't want to wait for it. And people are tired of waiting. I've told you now for several weeks, probably more like months, that you've got to shift. If you can stand to do it, you've got to shift your mindset to, hey, I'm going to have to hold this stock. And it's a brilliant stock to hold. But it could take 9 months, 6 months, could take a year, but it could take 3 months. And they're in the middle, it could have a squeeze, but I'd stop looking for the squeeze. I would just look for the double, triple in a great company. And then you're going to probably want to hold it forever, is my guess. But there's other stocks out there. I want to, maybe before we go, I'll read to you about Wheaton, Wheaton Precious Metals. Why do you pronounce Wheaton that way? Will Wheaton. Let me see if it's here. I got a new but it had the same recommendation. Maybe I'll just take the time to go through it right now. I like to give you guys something you can learn each time. And if you're not interested, you can at least hear a little bit about something that other people are gonna learn about. Yep, I don't know. Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. I need a wife. Or do I need a life? Or do I need a maid? Or do I need what is it that I need? A porpoise? I need a porpoise. Or do I need a dolphin? All right. One of you asked me, what's a good silver stock? What's a blue chip mining stock? And I told you, I think it used to be called Silver Wheaton Silver. Now I forgot the name, but it's now called Wheaton Precious Metals. And I'll read it to you. It won't take me very long, but Wheaton Precious Metals, it's on the NYSE is WPM. And let's see where it's trading. What's weird, it's one of the stocks that hasn't made highs. So you're still buying it. It's at $52. I don't see what the yield is. I don't see the yield. It earns $1.30 a share. Anyway, let's read what he says. This is not Jim Rickards. This is a guy named Dan Amos with that works with him. Anyway, Wheaton Precious Metals is one of the top gold and silver streaming companies in the world. It has a great business model. I owned this stock briefly. I remember it when it was $8. To my memory, I could be wrong, but and now here it is. I think it'll go up 5x in the next in the bull market for gold and silver. Wheaton Pioneer, and it's not risky. It's not risky like It's not going to be highly volatile. Let me put it that way. Wheaton pioneered the streaming business model when it was formed as a subsidiary of Goldcorp nearly 20 years ago. I remember when it was formed. All of the royalty and streaming stocks, Wheaton still has the highest revenue exposure to silver. That's why I like it. That's why I like it. But to diversify and grow, it moved aggressively into gold streams about a decade ago. I don't know about platinum. Streaming deals are similar to royalties. They are legal agreements to buy gold or silver at a very low price far into the future. Here is how the streaming business operates. In exchange for an upfront payment, a streamer then owns the right to purchase all or a portion of the silver or gold production at low cost from mines. Many of the most profitable streaming agreements made in history were made with base metal miners, companies producing copper, zinc, nickel, and lead. Gold and silver are often byproducts of these miners. Streaming companies like Wheaton, why do you say it Wheaton? Wheaton Precious Metals, WPM, approach base metal producers with offers to pay them low fixed prices for streams of gold and silver production in exchange for an upfront payment. The miners are happy because they can use this upfront money payment to fund mining construction. They are trading away exposure to future precious metals prices, which they're not interested in anyway. WPM started with only a handful of streams. Today, after making a series of well-timed streaming deals, Wheaton has streams on 44 assets. Think of that. So, you could have 2 or 3 companies just not work out at all, and you still got 40 left. Anyway, 18 operating mines and 26 development projects. Its revenue by metals is roughly 2/3 gold, 1/3 silver, and a small percentage from palladium and cobalt, no platinum. WPM's hidden assets are its streaming agreements on many of the top silver projects in the world. These assets have powerful leverage to higher silver prices in the future. As silver prices rise, the funding options for development stage silver projects will burst wide open. Mine development timetables will be shortened. Silver streams that WPM shareholders may have expected to arrive 15 to 20 years down the road could instead arrive within 5 years. When profits that are expected far into the future are pulled closer to the present day, WPM stock price should rise. Thanks to a steady flow of new stream acquisitions, the volume of metals flowing into Wheaton's, why do you pronounce it Wheaton? Revenue has been increased. If you combined higher volumes with higher gold and silver prices, revenue can grow through 2 powerful levers. Wheaton's history includes several case studies of high return streaming deals. I'm going to skip that just for brevity. We think sales estimates will rise substantially in the second half of 2024 as investors look ahead to the next round of Fed rate cuts. And higher gold and silver prices. There's this theory that the Fed has to cut rates, but something's going on in the bond market today. The yen is collapsing. The 10-year yield, I don't know where it is now, was up really sharply this morning. I know the Fed will probably come in to get it under control by buying bonds, but I'm just not sure the Fed can cut rates. But that's everyone says it's going to do it, so everyone must be right. Management expects production to be 800,000 gold equivalent ounces by 2028. That's 40% higher than 2023 production of 584,000 gold equivalent ounces. It has a cash hoard, and therefore it can do further deals. We think that a business of this quality, with minimal capital spending required and leveraged exposure to higher in gold prices, is worth $25 25 times cash flow. Assuming higher gold and silver prices plus higher production as new streams come online, we see a path to 2.4 billion in cash flow by 2025. Using a 25 multiple and 450 million shares outstanding, we get a 2025 price target of $133 per share. That's about 135% upside from current prices. How soon WPM gets there depends on prices of gold and silver. All right, so that's my gold and silver picks, blue chip pick for the day. Let's see what else you guys are saying. AAC. Let's go down to the bottom and go backwards. We'll go backwards. It's 2 o'clock. Let me look at the prices. Fingers 222. Wheaton. Why do you say Will Wheaton? Why don't you say Will Wheaton? My dog is anxious. Yeah. Nothing seems all that exciting to talk about today. GME's $23. All right. Yes, I can do that. Let me come back to it after I go through the questions. Wheat. That is Stewie. Bill Wheaton. Wheat. That's how he says cool whip. Whip. Yeah, I think that was a spike downward. You know, yesterday when the guy asked me about it going to 2, I said I saw it going to 225 with maybe a spike trying to get to 2. I said something like that. So maybe sometimes I'm right. External stimuli like Sir David Attenborough and Clint Eastwood. Oh, Mr. Harry, you're not going to like what I have to say. Do you feel lucky? Punk, what do you? I don't know. You notice how, Vin, they call it right wing? Everything's right wing that doesn't agree with the farthest left wing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just being a JFK Democrat or a Jimmy Carter Democrat or a Truman Democrat is probably right wing. Go ahead. Make my day. See, for 15 years, I've been coming in to get my coffee. Black. Today it has sugar. Well, we can't let you do that. Who's we, sucker? Yesterday was an opportunity for Shen to speak of any good news to help the price. And he failed to do so. I'm disappointed. I'm too young to have these constant disappointments with Finger. Well, Ludwig, sell the stock. Sell the stock. I can't give you personal advice, but if you find it disappointing, just get out of it. But you obviously didn't listen to the video. He actually gave quite a lot of good reasons to remain in the stock. As you know, Ludwig, only people on your side of the fence can lie, manipulate, put out false information. The SEC doesn't care if you put out bad research, if you collude, if you manipulate the stock price, if you come on these screens to try to scare people into selling so you can do a day trade. The SEC encourages you to commit criminal acts. They don't mind it. But what they do mind is if a CEO promotes anything that makes their stock price go up, then that's manipulation. And they'll get a couple of pro hoc vice attorneys to write a 46-page piece of crap legal effort that shakes down a company for that. While you guys you can lie, you can sell stock that doesn't exist, you can day trade without locating stock, you can net out your trades without paying for them or delivery, and it's incredible. But you have a friend in Gary Gensler, so keep doing it. I'm sorry you're disappointed, but I have a feeling, since you're young and you're active, that in fact what you do is sell stock that doesn't exist, and you try to, quote unquote, have a little fun with retail, and you're just trying to make 500, 1,000, 1,500 a day. So good luck. Gary Gensler's on your side, Ann Wagner's on your side, Goldman Sachs is on your side, our broker dealers are on your side. Go steal. I'm going to stop getting upset about it. And just have fun. Have fun at retail's expense. Go to work on it. But please don't come on and make comments without having any interest in the stock at all. If you watch the video, he gave very clear reasons why people should be hopeful and optimistic about the future. He was honest, as he has to be, and as he is, as a human being, about some of the struggles. And that gives you a chance for FUD and for day trading illegally and collusion illegally, but go at it. I'm not giving you advice, legal or financial, but go at it. You got Gary Gensler on your side. This is a NASDAQ stock. You've got that smiling beauty, Adina Friedman, on your side too. She has broken ground for women in finance, and all she decides to do is allow cheaters to cheat. She must be proud of herself. Yeah, that's it, Donna. Someday you will see that it catches up. It's like baseball. You get, or tennis. You got a lot of bad breaks, then you get a lot of good breaks. And thank you, Ludwig. The reason after 6 years of public trading that the stock is flat is you guys short the stock. Now, you're probably not associated with Jeffrey Easton, but this Blumenthal, I forget the name of the research firm, Blumenthal or something. I'm having a Biden moment. Bloomberg, it's not it. Anyway, the brokerage firm funnels CEOs to Jeff Easton. Jeff Easton lies to him. Then Jeff gets 4 clients to start shorting the stock. This is all on opinion and belief. It's my judgment. And then they short the stock down. Ludwig, in the case of Finger, Finger has made massive forward improvement, but it was shorted into oblivion. I saw with my own eyes 100 million shares sold short, according to FINRA data, in 10 days. Now, there's apologists out there that say, you can't believe in the FINRA data. There's things in place. And it's a terrible company anyway. It should be sold down. So, Ludwig, maybe you're right. But the biggest reason after 6 years of trading that the stock is trading where it is that the criminals that you work with, and you are one in my judgment, you've sold into existence as high as 250 million shares, which do not exist. So thank you. But you know where you're going to get trapped with Finger, in my judgment? They don't need your money anymore. They only have 52 million shares outstanding. They're not going to raise money down here from you. So you're going to lose that game. And then the other thing is there's reports of a big fund calling the company, asking the company for shares in return for cash. The company said no. So you're not going to get out of your trap that way. Best thing for you to do, Ludwig, hit and run. Sell the stock at the beginning of the morning, get out when it's down, get out, cover. Don't be in it long, because the company is going to go to positive earnings. It could take 9 months, but it could happen sooner. The company is on the verge of good news. That could come at any time. And so, Ludwig, for all your arrogance, cowardliness, and your breaking of the law, you're going to get caught out. So good luck. Good luck. I'm not going to get upset by it. GME's at $23. Not going to get upset by you. I don't care what you do. If you own it, sell it. I have a feeling you've never owned the stock. All you do is sell it. So good luck. Just keep doing it every day. Again, Wall Street wants you to do it. They allow you to do it. And Ann Wagner thinks it's just fine with her, as long as Goldman Sachs buys her steak dinners and her trips to Zimbabwe and gets her daughter through graduate school. Yeah, Trudeau. Isn't his name Castro? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Travis, if you're sitting there dreading that, that's one reaction. And I understand it. I also think, hey, then maybe buy some more. Or if you don't want to buy more, don't. There's other stocks out there like Wheaton, precious metals, or I'm going to try to get a couple income stocks into your head as well. Guys, the Dow and the S&P, the Russell are going to be up 30% from here. And it's the last chance to make money, in my judgment, quickly in the market before you move into precious metals. Hey, Linda Telly. Thank you, Brian. All right, let's go down to the bottom. Let's see if I can answer that. I forget. I'll find it. Let me see if I can answer it specifically. I really need a secretary. Or I need to work harder. Could be I just need to work harder. Could be I need a wife. Could be I should stop making excuses for not working hard enough. All right, let's see if this is it. Okay. All right, I have it here. Let's go through it, Mr. Babcock. I got to find your question. Let's go through it. Let's go through it, Mr. Babcock. I can't find you here. My eyesight is driving me crazy. There it is, Babcock. Okay. Now, what I told you live was that this, I gave away my presentation, so I should print it out again so I can show it to you. I have to go to FedEx because it's all, the guy did it in black background. So if I want to blow out my printer, that's one way to do it. I'd rather go up to FedEx. So let me skip the presentation for the time being. I've got some research here I can read to you, Mr. Babbitt, but what I said to you was that they were selling shares at 4 cents a share. Now, somebody said to me when I was talking about it, was I bragging? No, I wasn't bragging. I think I invested somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000, and I hope it's not more than that, in this company over time. Part of which I sold out of at losses. Years ago. And frankly, trying to remember, but I'm not sure I sold it much higher than 4 cents. It might have been 5 or 6 cents. But I took losses. I had no choice. My brother told me yesterday I was feeling pretty down about what I went through 4 or 5 years ago, and he said people get tired of listening to it. So I'm not going to make you listen to it, but people don't want to hear it. But I had to make, it actually started prior to that, but I had to sell things. And unfortunately, when you sell things, they don't recover. So, but anyway, what I paid for it was as high as 80 cents, $1, and to my memory again. But in offerings, I paid, I think one was 65 cents, but that one, I'm wondering if I'm right on that. I think one was 55 cents and I think one was 45 cents. But anyway, you get the image, all around 50 cents a share. Well, this offering is at 4 cents a share, and if you're interested, you, after listening to me answer for Mr. Babcock, just send me your details at farrandbalanced@gmail.com, farrandbalanced@gmail, and I'll have the company send you the documents. I can't do that, and it comes from the company. But and I'm not giving financial advice. But anyway, Mr. Babcock, the 4 cents is what I told you about. And that's the offering that's being made, that was proposed back in February, that the company needed to raise $5 million in Nevada, in the United States, and based on a testing process, which, in the words of the gentleman who's created the process, he's 70 some years old, closer probably to 80 than 70, but he's in his 70s. He's been a scientist. I'm not sure his title is metallurgist, but there's so many titles in this metallurgy space. He founded a gold company early in his career based on theories, got it producing, and sold it for a huge profit. I don't know. To my memory, he made $80 million on it. But that's something somebody told me, so I'm not sure it's true. But anyway, that was a long time ago. He's been in the business all since then. He founded this company about 15 years ago and bought the project. And to hit it quickly, a group of very wealthy investors out of LA, but also some out of New York, some around the country, Boston, maybe Florida, but primarily New York and LA, a little bit of Canada, put up something like $70 million, $70 million. And the process worked. And the recovery, which I can read to you a little bit in the research, it was 0.2 ounces per ton of material. Well, this is nano gold. So it's the gold particles are smaller than the width of your hair, essentially invisible gold. Well, this is the same kind of gold which Barrick Resources and Newmont Mining discovered in the Carlin Trend, which is also in Nevada, and it's, in geologic terms, it's right next door. I guess in US highway terms, it's probably a couple of hours away, but it's right there. And Newmont went from being a penny stock to being one of the blue chip, if I can use that word for mining companies, one of the tier one mining companies almost overnight. Barrick and Newmont both merged, and they have what they call, I think it's Gold Strike is the name, and that's their efforts. They combined their operations in Nevada. Nevada is the largest producer of gold in the United States because of that project. And I think it's 50-50, but I'm not positive on that. But they work it jointly, Gold Strike. So it's Barrick and Newmont. Well, it's invisible gold. And what they do is they take the sand, the material, it's sand, and they put it after the various stages of their steps, adding something like borax or something, crushing it probably. I don't know the process, but they put it in these huge autoclaves, these huge submarine-sized pressure cookers, and they extract gold. The gold they have in their resource, according to their annual reports, is something like 0.003 on average, 0.003 ounces of gold per ton. But they produce, and I don't know the numbers by memory at all, but they produce out of the Carlin Trend, and they've made Nevada the largest gold producing state in the United States and maybe in North America. But that's 0.003. Now, with this company, the initial discovery, and again, it's to the west of, I believe, the southwest of the Carlin Trend. It's also below a big silver trend, which has 200 million ounces of silver, same kind of material, but this sits in a caldera. It's an old volcano, which really triggers my interest, even though I minored in geology. I don't know anything other than can Ollie see down my pants pocket? Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Mississippian, Permian, Pennsylvanian, or Pennsylvanian Permian. Anyway, that something like that is how I used to remember the geologic time zones. I also remember the Bodine Escarpment that ran through Virginia. And the basketball player behind me said, "That's changed my life." I never forgot that line. Eddie O'Gorman. It was about 6 feet. We drove for an hour and a half. I think he was hungover. Anyway, this material is sand, and the difference with this material versus the Carlin Trend is not only is it nano gold or invisible gold, it has a coating. So you have to think about like a golf ball or an M&M with chocolate or a peanut inside. You have to get out of that coating. Well, the first thing they did is just a simple caustic fusion test, standard, heating it up. And what, I don't know, 15 years ago, what they were able to get, maybe slightly less than that, they were able to get 0.038 ounces of gold equivalent. 0.038, not 0.003, 0.038. So move the decimal over. And they, by third party, and they did a number of holes. They drilled down, sonic drilling, to 100 to 200 feet, and with several, they drilled down to 400 feet. Down to 200 feet, and I'm trying to remember how many holes. I'm sorry, 34, 70. But anyway, when I read the research, we might hear it. But with those drill holes, they delineated 174 million tons of resource. Using 0.038 with caustic fusion, they calculate 6.6 million ounces of gold can be recovered. Now, gold's gone from $400 an ounce to, or maybe something like that, $400, $500, $600 an ounce, to $2,400 an ounce almost, since those tests were done. So the margins have increased. Now, what the company wanted to do was improve on that rate of recovery by breaking the coating using non-standard processes to take more gold out of solution. Now, the method they chose, the gold that comes out, if this is the solution, the leaching solution, it doesn't settle at the bottom. It floats to the top. And so gravity doesn't work. What works on those levels is attraction, positive and negative attraction. Two positives move away, positive and negative attract. Well, anyway, when they scaled it up to a pilot test after they raised most of that $70 million, the fact that they built the systems on the ground, they didn't suspend them in air. There's no way to suspend them in air. I'm being facetious. The fact that you build the processing line on the ground, the one thing they didn't take into account was that the Earth has an attraction, and I forget if it's positive or negative, but whatever it was, it overwhelmed the ability of the process to get the gold out of solution. And so that was a huge disappointment. They can still get the 0.038. They were getting 0.20 on the laboratory level, but after trying many, many different variants, it finally, in an aha moment, wait a minute, what's happening is the very, whatever it is, positive or negative that the Earth has, is making this system not work. So they went back to the drawing boards. They didn't have to change a lot of it. And they bought this Batman and Robin super spectroscope microscope, and they built out the pilot plant slightly differently. And then the guy lives up in Canada. He built out his laboratory, and he got to work finding a new way of cracking the code. And it turns out, rather than using chemistry, which is that first thing I described, what I remember from chemistry, they call those valences. That's my word. I never heard it from him, but it's the charges. They skip that now. And what he's come up with his own process. He says process. I say tomato, which uses physics, not chemistry. It's just physics. And I'm not going to go into the description out open because I'm bound by a promise to not share the process. It's proprietary. But in essence, it's physics, not chemistry. And it has worked at the laboratory level and larger levels. the bench test level, scale level, hundreds of times. And what they need to do now is build out the pilot plant and just produce it. Just start producing gold. They needed 5 million. It looks like we've raised or have commitments for 2.5 million. So we're halfway there. At some point, I expect that as we get closer to the number, people start flooding in with money. So I think we may be a little early, but once the momentum starts, in my belief, we won't have a chance. So I'm glad we're in there. The process I'm not going to describe, but I am 99% convinced it's going to work. I'm really excited about it. And once it's proven, these values down here at 4 cents, they're going to disappear. Let me translate. If this company produces at 0.20, that changes the 6.6 million ounces of gold to 36 million ounces of gold. Just from the resource base already delineated, 35 million ounces of gold. If one of the uses of proceeds is they're going to drill more sonic drill holes down to 400 feet and down to 600 feet. Just if they go to 400 feet, that'll double that resource to 70 million. And then 70 million ounces. And then they can drill. They have a north zone and a south zone. If they drill between it, if they drill outward, who knows what they can prove up, but it could be double the 70 million. So you could have 100 million, 140 million ounces of gold in this one caldera controlled by this company nobody's heard of, just like they hadn't heard of Newmont Mining. And that would be the largest discovery if in the United States, in North America, if not the world. And we could know that in the next 6 to 9 months. I mean, the upside here is out of this world. You risk losing 4 cents. How could you lose 4 cents? I guess if it doesn't scale up, you could argue you lose the 4 cents, but I'm not even sure that's the case, because you could probably, with gold prices where they are, you could probably sell this project or JV it just for the 6 or 7 million ounces it can produce with caustic fusion. It'd be marginal, but since gold prices are so high, it becomes economic. So I'm not sure how you could lose the whole 4 cents. I'm really not. But I think in your mind, you have to say, I could lose the 4 cents. To keep it simple, and these are all low ends from my arithmetic there, I took the lowest numbers possible. The other risk is that the 13 or so, 20 or so big investors, mostly out of LA, but 1 or 2 in Canada and a group in New York City as well, they could decide to sell the company early. Screw it. We don't want to wait for the testing. We'll just sell it. Well, in fact, that theory was tested in February, March. A large investor came to buy the company, and he made an offer. And I think he got a little bit, he overreached. And the investors, to me, thanks God they didn't take it. And that could still happen. That deal that he offered capped out at 20 cents a share. I think if he came back again, the offer would be 40 cents a share as a cap out. And I don't think it'd be taken because we've already have a strong commitments for funding. But that's one payout level, 4 cents. If he came back and it were accepted, it's beyond my control. That's 40 cents. That's 10 to 1. If the money is fully raised, and if the pilot plant is built out, it'll take about 3 months. The producing of gold will take 1, 2, or 3 months. It'll all be about a 4 to 6 month process here, process Canada Day. And if you start it, let's say August, September, let's say first quarter of next year, second quarter of next year as well. But you don't drill deeper. You're looking at possibly selling the company for at $50 to $100 gold in the ground. That works out to $4 a share if you just sold the company. $4 a share. That's the low end. I'm emphasizing. Anything that gets it there, in my opinion, will get it much higher. I just want to be conservative. So that's 100 times your money. 100 times your money. The aspect that I'm really excited about is if you both have success producing the gold, which I believe they're going to have that, and they drill deeper and they double the resource, which could be tripled or quadrupled, but they double it. And you get a joint venture partner in for half, or best of all, you just fund the development yourself. You find funding dollars, which I think we could. I know I can get into one major funder of projects. I think the number will be much higher than this, but I think the present value of that is $40 a share. So that's 1,000 times on your money. My belief is this is the kind of leverage to precious metals, and it has palladium. It has palladium as well, and silver, but I'm only focused on the gold. So I think in return for 4 cents, you have 10x, 100x, or 1,000x, believe it or not. But that's what happened to Newmont Mining. Let's say within a year. There's risk. There's nothing guaranteed about it. There's a lot of human beings that have to make decisions. But I think that's the proposition. And it's every bit as good as a short squeeze. The blessing is the stock doesn't trade. I don't think the stock will trade again. I hope not. I hope it's just a financial transaction. So anyway, in that context, I'm sorry to go through that again, Mr. Babcock. In that context, I focused on with you that the offering was a share at 4 cents. What I did not tell people, because I didn't want to be in the salesman mode. I didn't want to hype it at all. The fact is, when you put up your money in this, It's a convertible loan. It lasts for 1 year and it pays, I just want to check because I believe it pays, I want to keep my mouth shut. I know what I think it pays. I just want to read it in terms of percentage. Well, let me go. There's a lot of definitions here. Let me go to the interest payment. I just want to make sure I don't misspeak because I deal with a lot of different companies and a lot of different numbers are in my head. Darn it, my eyesight is not helping me. Okay, so it matures 1 year from now. It matures 1 year from now. So it's safer than equity, Mr. Babcock. It's safer than equity. But I didn't emphasize that to you because I wasn't in my salesman mode. I believe the interest rate, I can't find it. Let me see if it's in the definitions. I know what I think it is. I just don't want to say it out if I'm wrong. Interest. Found it. Okay. The outstanding principal shall bear an interest rate of 10% per annum. So you are in a convertible loan, which is going to pay you 10%, which is pretty attractive. Now, it's going to convert either at maturity into one unit for every dollar that you invested. And it should state that you can convert your interest as well. I'm not sure it says that, but I think it does. Just to go quickly, I'm going to assume that it says that, but I could be wrong. So anyway, you're going to be able to convert your principal, maybe the interest as well. I think that's how it reads, but I want to just move along. Anyway, you can convert it into one unit. The unit is one share of stock at 4 cents and then one warrant. The warrant has a 5-year maturity. It's also at 4 cents. So, Mr. Babcock, what you're getting, which I didn't emphasize, is you're getting one share, but you're also getting a warrant. If you convert, there's reasons why you wouldn't convert. For example, if the company, for some reason, the results were disappointing, you'd leave it in the note. And then if a buyer came, you just get your money back plus the 10%. I don't see that as being what you decide to do, but that's the advantage of a convertible loan. One guy told me it's senior. I'm not sure it's senior. It doesn't say senior, so I wouldn't. There may be notes ahead of it, but you're ahead of equity when it's a note. So anyway, you're going to get 2 for 1, basically. You get It's like Juicy Fruit, or is that the other one? Double mint. You get 2 for the taste of 1. So that's a great deal, Mr. Babcock. I mean, it's so exciting. It's amazing. I only told you, and I continue, now you're asking, but I continue to tell people you're getting your shares, 1 share at 4 cents. The fact is, you're getting 1 share at 4 cents and a warrant of 5 years at 4 cents. That means you can convert this note into a share and a warrant, and then you can convert the warrant into shares at 4 cents. So it's tremendous. Now, the one other thing, Mr. Babcock, is that the company gives you and I told them they should probably not do that, but they're also giving you, just as a kind of a bonus, they're giving you, I don't see it here, they're giving you a warrant in addition. And I think it's 1 warrant per $4. I'm trying to find it. That's just additional. It's not a big part of the deal. Yeah. Nope, that's not it. I don't see anything there about that. Let me find it again. Here. As an additional, you get 1 warrant for every $4. And that, okay, so that, Mr. Babcock, comes now, and that'll be issued in your name. And that's the same terms as the other warrant. And then you ask, when do you get the shares in your name? You don't. You have this securities agreement, this convertible loan agreement comes from the company, and it's sent to you by the company, not by me. This is your convertible note. You can convert it early if you want, but there's no reason to do that. No reason at all. You should wait the full year. You earn the 10%. If there are delays, it's likely that the company would extend this rather than have you convert. But this is a great transaction. It's better to keep it in the convertible loan agreement. That is superior to equity. So you're not going to see your shares until you exercise this note, until you convert it. And I do not recommend that you do that conversion. Until the company is either sold or trades again, or it's, the note matures. There's no reason to do it. This is a safer vehicle as is than having equity. So I think it's a great deal. It's amazing deal, in fact, an amazing deal. And the guy that said, "Are you bragging?" I wasn't bragging. I get shell shocked when I remember how much money I put in. You're able to get in here at a price that's so attractive, and the company's at the finish line. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. If I had money, I'd gobble it all up myself. And one of the reasons it's available is that the prime mover on the financial side He's a good guy. He's a baseball fan, sharp, wealthy, great salesman. Great salesman. He's the prime mover on raising most of the money for the company. Well, he's old. He's older than Joe Biden, and his health, his brain is mostly there. But his health, anyway, his kids took away his ability to invest. His kids took away his checkbook. So that's why we have a shot at it. The reason I showed it to everybody is I know that there's people out there who have invested in these various deals from GME, AMC, MMTLP, Finger, GTII, COSM, Vocal, looking for lightning in a bottle in terms of a short squeeze. I think that's what's on offer here. Short squeeze type returns in a gold mining or a gold production or a gold processing company. I don't know what term to use because it'll be a production company. And I guess it's mining, but I've got to emphasize it's nano gold. It's almost 3:00. Mr. Babcock, let me just read a couple more things to you. This is from a research report, the last one written in 2018. There's one in 2017. Let me hit the highlights on 2017. There were 322 million shares outstanding. After this offering, there will be roughly 400 million shares outstanding. After the full raise, it's contemplated there will be 800 million shares outstanding. But those are some of the unknowables as we go. Okay, in the 2017, June of 2017, so that's 7 years ago, almost exactly, they were getting 0.59 ounces per ton of palladium. And they were also getting either or, palladium or gold at 0.20 plus. They actually got it at 0.265 ounces of gold per ton. Now, if you add those together, it's 0.60 ounces of gold equivalent per ton, but I wouldn't add those together. So far, I would just focus on the gold because I have not been told they're able to do both at the same time. So I would just focus on the gold, 0.20, but they got as much as 0.26. So anyway, they have 174 million tons of material. At that time, they had raised $5 million. I think I was part of that offering. I think it was, I really think it was 45 cents or 55 cents a share. A unit. It was stock and warrant. Okay. It's a well-written report, but I want to skip to the projections. They base their analysis of the cost of production at $400 an ounce. $400 an ounce. That's amazing. The average in North America, Barrick Gold, is around 800. Actually, I think it's $1,200 an ounce now. So they think at the time he was projecting it could be worth $10 to $50 a share if they got into production. Now remember, this was prior to the economic shutdown, and there was an earthquake. So everything got slid out. It got delayed. And now the process is different than this one, by the way. It's different, better. So he thought that using $20 an ounce to buy out the company, which is really really low, that the stock would be worth $10 a share. Using $100 an ounce, which is also really low, the stock would be $50 a share. And he figured the best buyer would be a Barrick Gold or a Newmont, or they do it together. So that was his target in 2018. 17, sorry. In 2018, he talks about it having a 0.20 ounce per ton recovery instead of the 0.038 that was proven. I put brackets because whilst it was third party, it was so long ago, and it depends on if people believe the third party, but it was third party. Two new processes to remove the coating and recover gold and palladium together. I'm just focusing on the gold. Great if he gets the palladium. All right. So they had done a lab scale, and then they had recovered across a small group of tests 0.228 on average. But since then, he's done, I believe, hundreds of tests. The cost is still under $400 an ounce. They still have 176 tons of resource down to 200 feet. They've done hundreds of tests, large and small. They're going to re-assay it. Could take 6 months or so or longer. There's sand below, but there's also brine and there's water. And let's just ignore all that. If they go to 400 feet, you could have 500 million tons of resource instead of 174. You multiply that by 0.2, you got 100 million ounces of gold. And they already drilled 2 holes down to 400 feet. And in the earthquake, they got a sense that the whole thing is contiguous. So it should work. He does point out one risk: deeper nanoparticles may be smaller, and there's no way of knowing until you test it. But anyway, so there's still a lot of science ahead when they go deeper. All right, they gave up some acreage, but they didn't give up the sweet spot. When I talked to them 3 months ago, but they did give up some acreage which had lithium, and a company called, I can't remember the name, came in to develop the lithium. I don't know that they've been all that successful getting lithium out commercially. But anyway, they gave up part of their acreage because it was expensive to carry. They have clays there, but let's skip over that. There are various different science issues with the clays, with the brine, but we're skipping that anyway. His target, actually in this report, it doesn't look like he gives a target. He just talks about how much gold could be there. Let me see quickly before I move on if he gives a target of how much gold could be there. I guess in this report he doesn't do that. Other than to say that you could have 1 billion tons. You could have 1 billion tons of resource, which would translate into 200 million ounces of gold. Anyway, I'll leave it there, Mr. Babcock. I tried to answer your questions as thoroughly as possible. I believe that the summertime is a bad time to expect money to come in. So my guess is that the commitments that have been made, the big commitments that have been made, will come in August, September at the earliest, but then they can get going. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be really exciting. And I'm so glad to be in it. And it's one of the few investments that can give you leverage to ounces of gold. At that mid-range, you're paying $1, not at the high end, right? Not at the 6.6 either, at the 35-ish. You're paying $1 an ounce of gold. $1. Gold sells for 2,600. You're paying $1. There's a lot of risk in it. There's a lot of steps that have to be gone through. But as the founder says, once we weigh the gold, once we produce the gold, all the risk is gone. And right now, I think the finish line is within 6 to 9 months. The only delay being that I just think big money is always on holiday in the summer. I think July, August is some of the toughest time to raise money. Commitments, yes, but money coming in, it's usually tough. So anyway, I hope, Mr. Babcock, I answered your questions. Okay, let's see what you were saying. So anyway, Mr. Babcock, I just gave you a long answer. I hope it filled it. And I'm going to go back to answering other people's questions. I mean, if you want your shares now, you can convert now, but then you give up your seniority in the cap table and you give up your 10% interest. I don't think it's smart to do. It's to me, it's a beautiful piece of paper that you have. And I'm glad to answer more questions, but I'm going to move on. Thank you, Flaming Shooting Bananas. I'm sure some say that. Let me find my Basher's Handbook. My Basher's Handbook says that Bashers always refer to some. Who are those some? Flaming arse. Who are those some? Do you know those some? Could I talk to those some, Flamer? I can't find my. Anyway, you're such a basher. It's not even worth it. Could be because I talked to him that the criminal, your friends came in to sell it down to make some money today, and they did. Congratulations, Flaming Shooting Bananas. You were able to use market makers who are not market makers who have no money. You were able to sell stock that doesn't exist without locating it or borrowing it. And Ann Wagner doesn't want an audit trail, and nobody's going to catch you. You were able to sell it down and then buy it back at the low, colluding, moving it amongst LLCs. Congratulations. Go split your money over at Harry's Bar, have a couple of shots, and if you're out on the golf course, have a couple of hits, celebrate. I hope you get nice chicks tonight. You're a hero. Buy another car. Bravo, bravo, bravo. You're the best. I don't know, Pharaoh, how you got that out of his interview. He said he would not reverse split, and I don't think he ever will. Obviously, companies do it, like Logic's doing it from the advice of Aubrey Advisors, the worst de-SPAC. I've seen one other bad one, but that was the worst. Totally talentless or totally corrupt on the part of the Aubrey Advisors sponsorship. But anyway, Logic did a reverse split, which lets the criminals off the hook, like the Flaming Bananas. Lets them off the hook. He gets to take money out for free. Ann Wagner couldn't care less. There you go. It's a great deal. But I don't think he's going to do a reverse split ever. I don't think there's any scenario you can create right now that would make it attractive. He only has 52 million shares outstanding. And if he's tight on that, he's going to be a company, I'll go ahead and project. He'll be a company with $100 or $200 million a year in revenue with only 50 to 60 million shares outstanding. I don't know when. I'm not saying when. I don't know anything. I'm just giving a projection. But those are the kind of numbers you can see. He'll have no reason to do a reverse split. That game isn't going to change. The criminals, that's all they try to do. Get it down so Jeff Easton can lie to the CEO again. You shouldn't be on the over-the-counter market. You need to get back up to Finger. Do a reverse split. Look what they're doing with KNW. Look what they did with Vocal. The CEO came out. They must be really close. Maybe closer than you can imagine. Because the CEO came out and said he sees no evidence that they're doing short. They took a deal. And sure enough, they do a 500-for-1 reverse split, and it's crushed again. Let me just assure you, Martin Shen knows what Wall Street does and he knows that Jeff Easton is a scumbag. But Martin Shen is a gentleman. You'll never hear Martin Shen call Jeff Easton a lying, cheating, thieving, slimy scumbag. I will, but I'm not a gentleman. No, it's gotten better, I think. It's so disappointing how you don't put GTII on your title. You would have had 10K subs by now and YouTube money for a brand new PC. Well, thank you, Flaming Shooting Bananas. I'd like to get to 10K subs. So if people want to start subscribing, I would like to do that because it will help me get interviews with CEOs. I haven't made money. Last year, I think I made enough to buy a PC, but frankly, I had to pay my rent. So I paid my rent instead. But that was cumulative months at, I don't know where I am, 8,400 subscribers. I'm lucky to make 200 or 300 a month. So my goal here is not about me. It's about everybody listening. It's not about me. And you think it's disappointing. The reason I didn't put GTII and haven't for quite a while, just to repeat myself, Flaming Shooting Bananas, because you have a brain the size of a small hollowed out banana, is since almost a year I started talking this way. There is palace intrigue. There is a fight for control of the company. And until a line in the sand is drawn and out with the old, in with the new, I don't think you should lead with GTII. And I haven't. There'll come a time when I will. I'm sure of it. But if you have a question about GTII that's good for investors, I'll answer it. But if it's about my subscribers and getting a PC because of it, that's not my motivation. It's not my motivation. So thank you again, Flaming Shooting Bananas. Why am I mad at Ludwig? Because he's young and active and I'm not? I'm not as active as I used to be. And when my dog is no longer with me, and I hope that's a long time, I intend to get more active. It takes me probably 2 hours a day to walk my dog. It's shortening, but the amount of the walk now is 2 or 3 blocks, and it's getting narrower and narrower. So I'm not as active. You're right. I'd like to be, and I'd like to learn how. I also suffer from gout. So I have problems with my knees and my feet, particularly my knees, though. And I'd like to learn how to be more active without causing more trouble there. And I'll seek that out. I used to walk 5, 6, 7, 8 miles a day, primarily with my dog. So I'm less active. I'm older, but I don't think that means that I need to be less active. But right now, the time available has been reduced. The activity's been reduced because mainly because I'm spend my time with my dog. And I hope that I can increase that activity. The thing, Flaming Shooting Bananas, that one of my friends who has now passed away, but I think of her all the time. She would always say to me, I've been young, but you've never been old. And I say that to you, flaming, arrogant, shooting bananas. I've been young, but you've never been old. I'm not mad at him for being young. I'd love to be young again, but that's not how life works. And I have to admit that as you get older, it's the same experience. You go, what the heck happened? What happened to all that time? How am I now here instead of there? And if you live long enough, blaming, shooting bananas, you'll go through it. I keep saying your name. I hope I increased your payday by $70. I really do. And I hope you can charge that to the short sellers and maybe buy your girlfriend a pie at a cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory tonight. But if you live long enough, you're going to go through the experience of getting older. You're going to go through this experience of not being so effing cocky. You're going to go through the experience of realizing that you wasted your youth cheating to chase money. And you're going to realize you're not proud of that. You're going to realize that the material things you thought had so much value didn't have any value at all without someone to love you for you. You're going to realize that. But hey, it's God's plan, because when you're young, you're dumb. That's for sure. And I've been young, but you've never been old. I think it's a great opportunity to collect it. I don't know if it's going to go cheaper. I'm going to finish at 4:00 or sooner, because the biggest call of the day is going to be Busy Brands, Junk Savvy, and Kristen Shaughnessy and others. General Flynn will be there. A space call. Go to that space call. Go to Busy Brands, Kristen Shaughnessy, or Chunk Savvy. Yeah, that's what Adina looks like. I think you have to look like a rat. There's a picture in one of the magazine, online, bunch of water rats on the shore. Oh, gross. I hate rats. It is crazy that it's back down, but I'm tired of fighting the criminals. I congratulate them. You win every single day. I congratulate. Wonderful. But by now we all know what happens. I'm not going to go through it again. Suffice it to say that the regulators, Congress, the Treasury itself, the big banks, your broker dealer, they're all in on it. They're all in on it. And the goal is to take the Treasury puts trillions of dollars out there. They take their percentage of trillions. They take it offshore. They pay no taxes. It's just Ann Wagner wants no one to see it, and everyone's captured. That's just what it is. I'm tired of fighting it. It's just not going to change. Luckily, with Finger, they're fighting against a company who knows what goes on. They're fighting against a company who's going to be a giant one day, and they're not going to win. They only have one strategy: counterfeit the shares, scare everybody, do day trades so they can constantly keep pressure on, and they all cheat, they all collude, they all work together, they put false information out, false reports. Gary Gensler approves of it. He's okay with it. There are no systems. There are no systems in place. There's nothing in place to stop it. But the one thing that will catch them out is a company that goes from 27 million in revenue, I'll pick a number, to 150 million in revenue per year. I'll pick it. And then is growing. And then is growing. And it's much like MMTLP. They just have one strategy: crush the denominator, make the company so desperate for drugs they go back to the pimp, and you can never break free. This time, Jeff Easton, the pimp, is not going to be able to sell heroin or whatever else to Finger Motion. Jeff Easton is an irrelevance. He's irrelevant to Finger Motion. They did dilute a bit, but Axe One, I hate this word, accretive. It used to be that CEOs could use their stock as currency, and you'd have investment banks behind you, research. You'd have thundering herds of brokers. You'd have all sorts of reason, and then you'd have retail buyers, institutional buyers, and the stock price would go up, and then the CEO could use shares. And that's the whole point of shares. The whole point of being public is to use shares to acquire revenue, to acquire talent, to acquire assets. But now, under the Gary Gensler criminal capital markets system, they just crush the price over and over again. The only capital formation on Wall Street is what Goldman Sachs and the others, I use Goldman as the ringleader, Goldman Sachs decides it will be. It's going to be Saul Feinberg at Facebook. It's going to be Greg Bezos at Amazon. It's going to be, I can't think of the other ones. Who the hell runs Disney? Feinstein. And then who runs yeah, it's Ellison over at who runs the hell out of some of these other companies, the 6 or 7. They all went to the same school. Many of them know each other, maybe other ways. And if Goldman decides that some little idiot can start a company and they'll fund it and he'll play along all the way up, that's what they do. The rest of the companies go out in the over-the-counter market and get slaughtered. Chuck E. Cheese doesn't care. They go on the NASDAQ. Adina Friedman does not care. Just simply does not care. Goldman, Gary Gensler does not care. Robert Cook does not care. Get over it. They don't care. Let's get over it. Let's stop fighting it. Let's just stop fighting it. But now, when companies need to raise money under the Gary Gensler criminal capital system, the stock price is so low, you have to talk about dilution. But it used to be if the stock price were higher and you were able to buy something with a few shares, you talk about accretive. It's adding revenue per share. It's adding earnings per share. Now the whole methodology of the protected criminal class, the SEC's protected criminal class, is to make sure nothing is accretive on a per share basis, make sure that everything destroys on a per share basis. Well, that's not happening with Finger. It's not happening with Finger. It's not happening. Finger's not going to take a shit deal ever again. At least not intentionally. 52. Okay, Axe One. You're like my sister. You're precise. May 31, shares outstanding are 52,712,850. That's up from February 29th. That's up from 52,545,350. So they have diluted. Axe One wants you to know that that's dilution. So let's calculate it. 52,712,850 minus 52,545,350. Axe One wants you to know that they've diluted in his opinion, you by 167,500 shares. Or roughly a third of a percent, 0.003 is how much they've diluted you. Axe One wants you to know that, and he's right. But let me suggest to you that 160,000 shares might be going into talent. It might be part of one of the financings they did. It's a rounding error. But Axe One wants you to know, so technically, I would call it accretive. It helped the company grow, but Axe One wants to be negative. It's dilution of 160,000 shares. Great job on the interview. Appreciate all the work. Thank you, Tom, man. Mike, I don't believe the wash trades are as big as Ham says. If I sell 25,000 shares at an average of 242 and buy them back at 215, that's 50 shares right away by one honest shareholder. Did you do that? Did you do that? Did you do that? On Friday or Thursday, there were 89,000 shares crossed right at 4:00. I will go with Ham's analysis. Ham's almost always right, Mike, but I'm not discounting what you say. Ham has made predictions early in the day. He's almost always been spot on. But you're right. There's some legitimate. Did you do that trade? If you do it twice, that's 100. Did you do it twice? Did you do it twice? Let me ask you something, Mike. When you did this trade, if you sold 25,000 shares, did you own those shares? Did you locate those shares? Did you borrow those shares? Or did you just sell with a market maker and then you bought them back? That's not legitimate. But in Gary, I'm tired of fighting. In Gary Gensler's criminal marketplace, they let you do it. That's wash trades, by the way. That's wash trades. You're making a profit on it, but you're selling stock you do not own because under Gary Gensler's system, you're allowed to do it. I'm not allowed to buy shares without paying for them. You're allowed to sell shares without owning them or locating them. Bravo on you. Bravo. Bravo. Bravo, Mike. I'm in awe. Bravo. I'm so impressed. Yeah, happy birthday to Canadians. The Canucks. I know, Dominic. I have to get to you. I will. Hey, John Platinum. All right, I'm nearly at the end. Martin Shen has to pick one revenue stream and stick to it, perfect it. I heard that businesses that are all over the place. Who'd you hear that from, Ludwig? You heard that? You heard that? That they're all over, they're trying to fail, they usually fail. Who'd you hear it from? Because what I heard yesterday was, I'll tell you an example. The Chinese government, for their own reasons, there was a delay or a holdback in issuing minutes or doing the accounting or something for minutes. So luckily, because Finger was in another space, they were able to make up all of that revenue. One revenue went down, the other revenue went up 100% in SMX. It's a different area. Well, if he had only focused on one, he couldn't have done that. I think you're wet, Ludwig. But hey, Ludwig, good luck day trading. I hope you make 500, 1,000, 1,500. I hope you have a day where you make $10,000. And I hope the kickback from the clients of the prime broker and from the clients of Lind Capital Partners keep you in drink, drugs, girls, trips, and houses and automobiles. I hope you have a meaningful life. Ludwig M. I don't know any news, Donkey Donks, but today, let me find out when it is. There is a space call today. Let's go to Kristen Shaughnessy. Kristen Shaughnessy. It is at 6 p.m. Semper Fidelis, More Than a Motto, with Lieutenant Colonel Alan Bradshaw and veterans. July 1, 6 p.m. July 1, 6 p.m. Busy Brands. It's on Kristen Shaughnessy and it's on Junk Savvy. Busy Brands. The willingness of American veterans to sacrifice for our country has earned them our lasting gratitude. 6 p.m. Donkey Donks. You'll learn about MMTLP. Accretive. Characterized by gradual growth or increase. Accretive. In both finance and in general lexicon, the term accretive is the adjective form of the word accretion, which refers to gradual or incremental growth. For example, an acquisition deal may be deemed accretive for the absorbing company if that deal contributes to an increase in earnings per share. Accretive. Thanks for questioning it, Lion. Hey, X1. My blood is flowing, Lion. Thank you. Hey, Dominic. Hey, Ricky Rick. Hey, Bill, good to see people are frustrated and pissed off. They got into this trade and have been slaughtered. Good press talk is for us, nothing. Well, that's true, Anthony. I'm telling you, I'll tell you again. Martin Shen took a deal based on whatever that research firm was, bum screwed research. I can't remember the name of the research. Begins with a B. Anyway, they funneled Martin Shen to the lying group at Lynn Partners. They took a deal that then caused Lynn Partners clients to short the stock. It went from 6 million shares short. I saw in one 10-day trading period 100 million shares shorted, and then the last year and a half, the estimate is much more. It could be 250 million. The stock was squeezing, but again, no one believes me. It pissed one woman off when I pointed out that Lou Bravo was encouraged himself to tell us to get out of these stocks and move to COSM. COSM is a piece of shit company that, because I believe the shorts who were losing $1 billion in GTII alone paid off and gave a scheme to COSM, and maybe he paid others on how to take 35 million out of the market. And in Gary Gensler's markets, it's okay. They caused the stock price to go up. It's okay with Gary Gensler's SEC. They took out 35 million, they moved on. The squeeze didn't happen. Anthony, do not expect a squeeze in Finger. Do not expect a squeeze in GTII. Do not expect a squeeze in any stock which you've been in for over a year, where the market has been able to set up defense. Please stop it. Gary Gensler protects the criminals. Gary Gensler is there for the criminals, not you. Adina Friedman is there for the criminals, not for you. Now, let me tell you, Anthony, if you cannot stand finger motion, just get out of it. I'm not giving you financial advice. Move on. If people are frustrated and pissed, just get out of it and move on. You know why? Because when you get out, you forget about it and you can get on with your life. You can stop listening to me. You can stop listening to me get upset. You just stop thinking about it. You can take your tax loss. You can go invest in a stock that Blazing Bananas, who apparently gets his rocks off every night because he's proud of it. You can go listen to an idiot like that. He'll give you a stock to invest in. You can go invest in COSM in the middle of the rush so you can help a CEO out and then 2 or 3 other guys make some money. I can't find this research. I can't find it. Anyway, there's research that was put out by Blackball Research, I forget the name of it, that says that finger motion is worth $5 a share. If you think they're wrong, and if you think this price reflects the true and correct value of the stock, please, Anthony, just get out. Just get out. I personally am tired of fighting it. If you can't accept that Jeffrey Easton is a lying, manipulating, arrogant scumbag who trapped Finger Motion into a deal with his 4 clients, and then they counterfeited shares to the tune of maybe 200 to 250 million shares, or that didn't happen. There's systems in place and that doesn't happen. It's a bad company. You pick your choice. I believe that the company, against all odds, against the economic shutdown, against criminal research reports, against stock manipulation, has moved forward. If you don't believe that, please just get out of it. I'm tired of fighting it. I really am. I am not going to fight it anymore. I congratulate Jeff Easton. I congratulate Gary Gensler. I congratulate Adina Friedman. I congratulate the clients of Jeff Easton for stripping the market of hundreds of millions of dollars here. I'm very proud of them. Bravo. I'm tired of fighting it. I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm just not going to fight it anymore. Finger Motion is going to be under pressure constantly. Settlement is never going to be enforced. The only thing, Anthony, that's going to change that story is when they have massive out of the blue revenue growth and then steady on revenue growth, predictable revenue, cash flow, and earnings. That's going to take time. If you want me to babysit this day by day by day, I'm not interested. Just get out of the stock. Just sell it. Sell it at 2. It could go to 1. And just move on. Put your money in NVIDIA. That's sure to go up. Please, just get out, Anthony. Please, get out. The criminals have an unlimited amount of stock to sell, and Gary Gensler encourages them. If you can't live with that, get the hell out. If you watch Martin Shen, who's a decent, honest, hardworking man with a vision, if you watch that and you don't believe he's going to build the next kick-ass company, just get out. Please, Anthony. Cut the cord, Anthony. Please, Anthony. Cut the cord and it'll keep falling. Just cut the cord, Anthony. Please. Can I be clearer? Cut the cord. It's not financial advice. Just cut the cord. And the stock might go lower. I'll guarantee you people will be buying it. But please, Anthony, thank you for your advice. I'm not going to fight it anymore. You're absolutely right. People are going to cut the cord. It's not retail that's moving this stock. It's day traders like shooting sperm bananas. It's day traders who are being paid by hedge funds who have the ability to sell under the market maker exemption of Reg Show and Ann Wagner, Gary Gensler don't care. If you can't live with that, just sell, please. Cut the cord, Anthony. Anthony, cut the fucking cord. Cut it. Just cut it. Flaming. It could be, but I don't know any real shareholders that are selling. And Mike, I don't know any real shareholders who are selling in that kind of size while it's down here because they risk the snapback in the stock price. But believe what you want to believe. I'm tired of fighting it. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're right. Everybody's right. Yeah, I miss him. I miss him. I think he had a vision, and I think he cared about you. Yeah, everything is my opinion. It's consultant fees. It's in the filing. who I don't know who they are. Is that bad? Mike, is that bad? Do you pay a plumber? Do you pay to get your hair cut? Do you pay to have a doctor take your blood pressure? Do you pay to have your front lawn cut? Do you pay for have dinner served? All right, you guys. Oh, thank you, Steve. It's benchmark. It's benchmark. I couldn't remember that. Once you forget something, you can't get it back. I think I'm just like Joe Biden. Benchmark, benchmark, benchmark. That's it. Thank you, Mike. I'm going to ignore the clowns and I'm going to sign out. Lion, I'm not going off on everyone. I want to make it clear. I'm no longer going to fight the criminals. I congratulate the criminals. They have a brilliant criminal plan. I'm not going to fight it. I've described it. I've done my job. If people want to invest in a stock, they have to know that this criminal action happens every single day. If they can't deal with it, invest in an ETF. Really, I mean it. Invest in an ETF. GME's 2371. Nothing's green on my screen. Nothing is green. Oh, DJT is up 39 cents. Cosmo is up 9 cents to 113. But remember, 500 for one split. 500 for one split there. Let's see what Nvidia's up. Hey, my magic works. Wheaton Precious Metals is down 16 cents. I am, but it's been a long time waiting. But I am. I'm very bullish on oil and gas. But, I've reached out to the CEO multiple times. I'd love to interview him. I just don't know how to. I can't get any more information than you can. Yeah, thank you, Lion. I think somehow we have to use the system as it is to make money, and be prepared. Sorry, I'm almost a legend. No, I'm almost legend. This is the first time I've heard you curse, William. Please don't let these people frustrate you like this because of their own. Okay. Thank you. I'm almost a legend. I can see why. Maybe you are a legend. That's very kind advice. It's hot here, and I get frustrated with it. And that's on me, isn't it? That's on me. It is on me. I was going to read something else to you, but it's 4:00, and I really think you should tune in 2 hours to Busy. So I want to give you a couple of hours to get ready. I thank you guys. Kristen Shaughnessy is going to shorten the video on Martin Shen's interview with me, finger motion. So it'll start when he starts and end when he ends. So that'll be brilliant. I'll put it back up that way so you can rewatch it. I think it's a great video. The number one thing I would take away from that finger motion thing I heard, has some risk, because he said we're going to need to raise some money. Number one thing I heard, they got something big in the works. I don't know how big, but I have a feeling once it starts, it'll be. I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't predict that. But I would imagine once you get a foothold that's big, it can be repeating. So that's what I'd look out for in Finger. That's what I'd look out for in Finger. I wasn't surprised this quarter's numbers were disappointing, as I've said on my calls. And it's going to be more about once they have a predictable revenue stream and growth going forward, which includes growing cash flow and growing earnings, I think the story's over. I'm not fighting you. It's a point. Yes, it's okay. That's true, Mike. I wish I could find my bashers. I'm glad that you've learned from your bashers handbook to appear cooperative and appear friendly. But you make a good point regardless. I can't find my bashers handbook. Your point is well taken. And now you've gotten it out there that the company has paid consulting fees. You've gotten it out there 3 or 4 times. Personally, COSM, I'm not sure how they paid Frank Benedetto, but I'm sure it was described as consulting fees. I'm not sure how they paid Lou Bravo, if they did, but I'm sure it was described as consulting fees. So I wonder how all of the payments made to the day traders who help crush stocks are paid. Are they consulting fees, or are they just under the table and there's no disclosure? Remember, the criminal activity is encouraged by Gary Gensler. I'm appreciating this advice, even though I don't want to hear it. Misery loves company, and you're too decent of a guest to entertain such misery. I and many of us greatly appreciate all that you do and continue to do. Thank you. Thank you. I am almost legend. That really means a lot to me. And I appreciate that you stuck it in while I'm in the middle of overreacting. Let's put it that way. I shouldn't come down to their level. I get so frustrated by how brazen it can be. The SEC may monitor this call, and they're waiting for me to say something wrong. They don't care about these people because the SEC is trained to go after the CEO. They're not trained to go after the people that pay Gary Gensler his salary. Thank you, Lee Willis. Vote for more cursing. Well, no, I appreciate I Am Legend. I really do. I really do. I really appreciate it. Thank you. What came clear is Univest has made, I don't know if it's clear. It's my reading of it. Univest may have made 1 or 2 proposals, but they were found wanting. I think Martin does have, he said it. I think he's got 1 or 2 sources of financing that he's decided to trust. So I think we'll be fine. I don't really know what's going on. The gentleman that I've been working with on that is the exact same gentleman who is doing the very hard work of collecting, collating, and collecting the names, the amount of shares, the votes, etc. for GTII. So I put a call into him, I don't know, a month ago. I haven't heard back. I don't want to bother him. He's tied up with that. He's completely overwhelmed with that. Well, I agree with that, Chris Vega. I shouldn't waste time talking about it. I've got to come up with a way of just not answering. It's not always clear who I'm talking with. Like the flying bananas, he could be anybody, and then it turns out he's a complete jerk. Yeah, I want to stop wasting time, Chris. I do want to, because it wears me out, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. There has to be a way for all of us to make money. And I think the opportunity in front of us is in several trades over the next 1 to 6 months. And I don't know how long it's going to last. I wanted to talk about the bond market. Do you know? Last thing I will say, if I can find it. Well, let me just start again. The 10-year, I can't find it, but something has gone here today. Let me see if that does it. Anyway, watch out for the bond market. The 10-year today really moved rapidly. I'm sure the Fed will come in and buy bonds to drive it down. But across the ocean, the other direction, the yen is falling. And I think the yen's in free fall. I think the yen could, pull a ruble in the past or a peso in the past. The yen could go to 200, even 300 to 100. It's not good. It's not good. So watch out for the bond market. But as long as the bond market is being saved by the Fed, I think the stock market has a huge move ahead. It's the last chance for us to make some trades. And I'm telling you, my biggest fear is after this. I don't know if this ends in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. I don't know. But when it ends, I think the stock market is going to round trip. What do I mean by that? I think the stock market could go down by 80%, 95%, or whatever you want to call it. It could go back to where it was 40 years ago, or maybe where it was 30 years ago. Whatever it is, it's going to be dramatic, and it's going to change a generation, and the world is changing. And I think the bond market is down because of the debate, not so much who's going to win or not. The question is who's running the country, who's running monetary policy. We look weak right now. It's a terrible thing to look. So I agree with I am a legend. I'm legend that we don't have time. I don't have time to waste on all those things. Matt, I think that's a bit of you must be in the heat too. I banned 2 people. Actually, I only banned one. It was flying bananas, flying, squirting bananas. It's the only one I banned. I don't know who else you're talking about, Matt. I really don't. I think that's an exaggeration, in fairness. Grow up, Hoffa. Later on, we'll have ice cream. Well, John Platinum, I actually am against that. That's Ham is saying $3. I bet Ham would say $2.50. I think they should leave it at $7 for a couple of reasons. One is the time it takes to change it. The other is, to me, anything that makes the stock go to 3 or 4 is going to make it go to 6, 7, 8. And the final reason is, if they raise that money for 50 million, 5 million, let's call it, at 7, that's enough money for an entire year's operating. So I think they should leave it at 7, but life is made up of different opinions. Lawsuit dismissed against Roaring Kitty. So the lawsuit must have been there just to manipulate the stock price. Let me see if I can find out what's going on. Treasury's trounced as Trump triumph looms. Be careful. If the bond market gives up the ghost, forget about what I say about the stock market going up. I don't see that news. That's pretty interesting, though. Let me see if I can find it somewhere else. One more place I can look. I don't know. Hawk Tua, who's that girl? I don't get it. I don't know who that is. I don't see that news, Daryl, but that's pretty exciting. It's the heat, I'm sure, Matt. I'm sure it's the heat. Hey, VO. I'm going to go after this. Yeah, buying the dips and selling the rips. I date the dips. She's kind of cute. I'm sure she can get away with X-rated stuff. Cute girls can get away with a lot. There's nothing more on Trump. All right, let me just look and see if anything closed well. No, I'm going to go. I just want to see if there's anything in the green. GME's in the green by 10 cents. Let's see where Finger closed. Finger's in the green by 10 cents in the aftermarket. And Logic is in the red by 0.0024. All right. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. If they could make an offering to current shareholders, which is what a warrant is, I guess. I tried to ask him on the interview, and I think the way I put it was creative financing. But one way to do the financing, and I think more CEOs have to do it. I'm not saying Finger's going to do it, but I think CEOs have to stick to their guns about what their valuation is, not what the criminals under Gary Gensler's auspices are allowed to manipulate the price down to. If I were a CEO, I'd say, hey, that's the wrong price. I'm not going to raise money there, but I am willing to give you, here's our analysis of our shareholders' value. I'll give you a discount to that. but not at those levels. I'll do it here. And yeah, I like your idea of raising it from shareholders or doing a debt deal. Not with the criminals though, but doing a debt deal with a conversion, something, but not with the criminals. And it's tough. It's tough to get away from the criminals. Dos Equis. I don't know what to say out of your comment. Yeah, they might, once they come on with me or Ham, that they might be trying to bust our enthusiasm. And I'm sure we might be under that kind of surveillance. But look, I don't think it's about me. I don't think the stock moves because of us. I think it's the downside is because the U.S. financial and markets allow the selling into existence of hundreds of millions of shares which do not exist. And that's what we live with. And on the other side, it's only going to be institutional buying or the buying back of the counterfeit shares in size all at once that will cause a squeeze. Otherwise, why we're here is the slow, steady movement of the company towards profitability that is sustainable. And I think I've said it. I think the soonest we'll see that is in our third quarter, maybe the fourth quarter of this year is the soonest we'll see that. Once that happens, the criminals will stop selling. They'll lose interest. They're only here now because they can make money day trading. They can make money because they have access to market makers who are not bona fide market makers. They're just criminals. And they allow under Reg Show the sale of stock, which doesn't exist. And they can do it intraday or they can do it in the week or the month or longer. When the stock starts trending upward and that's its way, they'll disappear. You'll never hear from them again. Thank you, Dos Equis. I don't take you the wrong way. Sometimes I take things the wrong way just because it's hard to interpret. But I try to give a lot of leeway. But finally, that shooting bananas, Kareem, whatever his name was, Fireworks Bananas, finally goes, he's provoking to go one step too far. But Matt, let me look at one thing before I sign off. Let me just see. Just for the heck of it. If there's any filings that we should know about. It's probably too soon to look. Yeah, I guess it's too soon to look. Yeah, it's too soon to look. So no filings. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. You guys forgive me so much when I get upset. I try really to forgive everyone. It's just the intentional. Those who were intentional, who were here just to day trade to make money off of us, I get upset with them. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. Go to Kristen Shaughnessy, General Flynn, Busy Brands, Junk Savvy, and many more. Colonel Braddock, Sorry, Colonel. Let me make sure I said it right. Bradshaw. Colonel Bradshaw. Sorry, Colonel Bradshaw. So anyway, peace to everyone, love to everyone. Thank you for forgiving me my excesses, and I wish you each and I'll be on, I think, tomorrow, but I wish you each a happy 4th of July, happy Canada Day, and I wish you the happiness of a dog that's glad to see you. Cheers.